What happens when you cross the line with a legend? What happens when you take the fight too far and awaken a father's fury? John Cena just learned that there are consequences when you brutalize the son of the greatest luchador in WWE history. Rey Mysterio has sent a message, and it's one that will shake the foundation of everything John Cena stands for. This is about family, legacy, and revenge. Welcome back to Wrestling vs. CC, the home of the most intense wrestling drama, breakdowns, and moments that define this incredible industry. If you're ready to witness a father's declaration of war against one of the biggest names in wrestling history, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because what we're about to break down is absolutely explosive. Let me take you back to the moment that changed everything. The arena was electric, the crowd was on their feet, and Dominik Mysterio stood in the ring, representing not just himself, but the legacy of his legendary father. And then, John Cena happened. Now, we all know John Cena. The face of WWE for over a decade. The man who never gives up. The 16-time world champion. The hero to millions. But on this night, something different emerged. Something darker. Something that crossed a line that should never be crossed. What started as a competitive match quickly descended into something much more personal, much more vicious. Cena didn't just defeat Dominik Mysterio. He dismantled him. He destroyed him. He sent a message that echoed through every locker room, every arena, and straight into the heart of Rey Mysterio himself. The beatdown was relentless. Attitude adjustment after attitude adjustment. Steel steps. The announce table. The ring post. Every weapon, every surface, every ounce of Cena's strength was unleashed on the younger Mysterio. And the crowd, they didn't know how to react. This wasn't the John Cena they knew. This was something else entirely. Medical staff rushed to the ring. Dominik wasn't moving. The replay showed the severity, the brutality, the sheer devastation that Cena had inflicted. And somewhere backstage, Rey Mysterio watched his son being carried out on a stretcher. A father watched his legacy being broken. A legend watched his bloodline being battered. The wrestling world held its breath. Social media exploded. Fans demanded answers. How could Cena do this? Why would he go this far? But the bigger question wasn't about Cena's actions. The bigger question was, what would Rey Mysterio do about it? Days passed. The silence was deafening. Dominik was hospitalized. Reports came in about the extent of the injuries. Concussion protocol. Potential broken ribs. Damage that would keep him out of action for weeks, maybe months. And still, Rey Mysterio said nothing publicly. But behind the scenes, something was brewing. Something that those close to the situation whispered about in hushed tones. Rey Mysterio wasn't just angry. He was calculating. He was planning. He was preparing to do something that would remind the entire world why he's considered one of the most dangerous competitors to ever step foot in a WWE ring. And then, it happened. The message. Rey Mysterio didn't call a press conference. He didn't post on social media like everyone else. He didn't cut a traditional promo in the ring surrounded by cameras and bright lights. No, Rey Mysterio delivered his message the way a true warrior delivers a message. Direct, personal, unforgettable. Cena was in his private locker room, preparing for an appearance. The door opened. No knock, no warning. And there stood Rey Mysterio. Not in his colorful mask and gear. Not with the high-flying energy that made him famous. He stood there in street clothes, his mask pulled tight, his eyes burning with an intensity that made even John Cena take a step back. The words that followed weren't shouted. They weren't delivered with dramatic flair or theatrical emotion. They were spoken with the cold, measured tone of a man who had already decided what came next. A man who had crossed the point of no return. You hurt my son, John. You didn't just beat him. You tried to end him. You took this beyond competition, beyond respect, beyond everything that this business is supposed to stand for. You wanted to make a statement. You wanted to prove you're still relevant. You wanted to show the world that John Cena can still be ruthless. Rey paused, letting the words sink in. Security hadn't arrived yet. Nobody dared interrupt what was unfolding. Congratulations. You got my attention. But what you need to understand, what you clearly forgot during all those years on top, is that I'm not just some veteran you can step on to rebuild your legacy. I'm not just another name you can add to your list of victims. I am Rey Mysterio. And you just made the biggest mistake of your career. The tension in that room could have been cut with a knife. Cena, to his credit, didn't back down. He stepped forward, meeting Rey's gaze, and the two legends stood face to face. No cameras capturing the moment for broadcast. No commentary team describing the scene. Just two men, two fathers, two warriors on the brink of something that would define both of their legacies. You want to talk about mistakes? Cena's voice was steady, but there was an edge to it. Your son stepped into my world. He wanted to prove he belonged at this level. I showed him the reality. That's not personal, Rey. That's professional. Rey's head tilted slightly, and even without seeing his full expression behind the mask, everyone in that room knew what was coming next wasn't going to be pleasant. Professional. You call what you did professional? You call hospitalizing someone's son, someone's flesh and blood, professional? No, John. What you did was personal. You made it personal. And now, I'm going to make it very, very personal for you. The ultimatum was delivered with ice-cold precision. I want you in the ring. Not for a match. Not for a competition. Not for the fans or the cameras or the championships. I want you in the ring for a fight. A real fight. The kind that doesn't end with a 3 count or a submission. The kind that ends when I decide it ends. And trust me, after what you did to Dominik, it's not going to end quickly. Cena's jaw tightened. The challenge was laid out. The line was drawn. And in that moment, both men knew that what came next would be talked about for generations. Rey wasn't finished. You think you know me, John. You think because you've seen me fly around the ring, because you've seen me entertain millions, because you've seen me wear colorful masks and play to the crowd, that you know what I'm capable of. Let me educate you. Before I was a WWE superstar, before I was a household name, I was fighting in rings where there were no rules, no safety nets, no corporate sponsors worried about going too far. I survived that world. I thrived in that world. And if you force me to go back to that version of myself, there's no going back for either of us. The message wasn't just words. It was a promise. A guarantee. A declaration of war from a man who had spent his entire career being the ultimate underdog, the ultimate survivor, the ultimate warrior. Security finally arrived, but the damage was done. The message was delivered. Rey Mysterio backed out of the room, never breaking eye contact with Cena, never showing an ounce of fear or hesitation. And as the door closed behind him, everyone present knew that what was coming would be historic. So what does this mean for WWE? What does this mean for both of these legendary careers? Let's break it down. First, this isn't about championships. This isn't about spots on the card or main event status. This is about something far more primal. This is about family. About honor. About a father protecting his son's legacy and exacting revenge on the man who tried to destroy it. Second, this transforms both characters in ways we haven't seen in years. Rey Mysterio, typically the lovable underdog, the fan favorite who represents everything good about wrestling, is now channeling something darker. He's tapping into that aggressive, ruthless side that made him a legend in Mexico before WWE ever knew his name. This isn't the Rey who plays to the crowd. This is the Rey who will do whatever it takes. And John Cena, this forces him to confront something he's avoided for most of his career. Accountability. Consequences. The realization that being the biggest star doesn't mean you're untouchable. Rey Mysterio isn't intimidated by Cena's legacy. He's not impressed by the merchandise sales or the Hollywood career or the mainstream success. To Rey, Cena is just the man who hurt his son, and that man is going to pay. Third, when this match finally happens, and it will happen, it's going to be unlike anything either man has ever been a part of. This won't be a typical WWE main event with near falls and signature moves and dramatic kickouts. This is going to be a fight. A brutal, personal, emotional fight that might genuinely be hard to watch at times. Think about Rey's history. Think about the matches he's had throughout his career. The ladder matches. The steel cage battles. The no disqualification wars. Rey Mysterio knows how to work a violent match, and when he's motivated by revenge, by the image of his son being carried out on a stretcher, there's no telling how far he'll go. And Cena. We've seen glimpses of this darker side before. We've seen him get ruthless when pushed. But this is different. This time, he can't just overpower his opponent. Rey's speed, his technical skill, his unpredictability, all of that creates a nightmare scenario for Cena. Add in the emotional weight of what he did to Dominik, and Cena might be walking into the most dangerous situation of his career. The wrestling world is already buzzing with speculation. When will this match happen? What stipulation will be added? Will Dominik be involved once he recovers? Will this rivalry extend beyond just one match and become a generational feud between the Mysterio family and Cena? Some are calling for a no disqualification match. Others want to see it inside a steel cage. There's even talk about a mask versus career stipulation, though that feels like it diminishes the personal nature of this feud. This isn't about props or gimmicks. This is about two men settling a score in the most definitive way possible. What makes this so compelling is that both men are justified in their perspectives. Cena can argue that he was simply being competitive, that Dominik challenged him and he responded as any top-level competitor would. He can claim that wrestling is a physical business and injuries happen. He's not wrong. But Rey Mysterio can counter that there's a difference between competitive aggression and targeted destruction. That Cena didn't just win a match, he tried to end a career. He tried to break not just Dominik's body, but his spirit. And for a father watching that happen to his son, there is no justification, no excuse, no explanation that makes it acceptable. This is the kind of storytelling that transcends wrestling. This taps into universal emotions. Every parent watching understands Rey's fury. Every person who's ever been pushed too far understands his need for revenge. And that's what makes this so powerful. The message has been sent. The challenge has been delivered. John Cena now has a choice to make. Does he accept Rey's terms and step into a fight he might not be prepared for? Does he try to apologize, try to make amends, and risk looking weak? Or does he double down, justify his actions, and escalate this into something even more dangerous? Whatever he chooses, one thing is certain: Rey Mysterio isn't backing down. The legend, the master of the 619, the ultimate underdog, has transformed into something WWE hasn't seen in years. A father on a mission. A warrior with nothing to lose. A man who will sacrifice everything to get justice for his son. And when these two finally collide in the ring, when the bell rings and the fight begins, we're going to witness something that will be talked about for decades. Because this isn't just another match. This is personal. This is family. This is legacy. John Cena wanted to make a statement. He wanted to prove he's still the top guy. He wanted to show that he can still dominate. Mission accomplished. But he also awakened something that he's going to regret. He awakened the fury of Rey Mysterio. And that's a mistake he's going to pay for in blood, sweat, and broken bones. So, wrestling vs. family, I need to hear from you. Are you Team Mysterio, ready to watch a father get his revenge? Or are you Team Cena, believing he was just doing his job? How do you think this match should go down? What stipulation would make this the most intense encounter possible? And most importantly, who walks away victorious when these two legends finally settle the score? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're as hyped for this as I am. And subscribe to Wrestling vs. CC because we're going to be covering every single development in this incredible rivalry. In wrestling, we talk about dream matches. We talk about once-in-a-lifetime moments. Well, this is both. This is a dream match born from a nightmare. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment that neither man wanted but both men will never forget. Rey Mysterio has sent his message. The question now is, how will John Cena respond? And when these two step into the ring, who will be left standing when the smoke clears? This has been Wrestling vs. CC, bringing you the stories that matter, the moments that define wrestling, and the rivalries that become legendary. Remember, in this business, you can betray anyone, you can challenge anyone, you can defeat anyone. But you never, ever, mess with a man's family. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay passionate, and never stop loving this incredible world of professional wrestling.